All right. And we're going to get. Listeners, we are here to present a two-part series focused on some various topics of our choosing. Let's start with a trip down memory lane as we explore some nostalgic moments in pop culture that help shape our affinity for pop culture and create massive buzzing moments in our lives. Then we'll dip our toes into the millennial musings and discuss some of those dating trends that have influenced our culture. Let's prepare ourselves for the heat ahead and dive into this week's Hot Topics. DJ, play that track.
Wait, is this thing on? Can y'all hear me? Okay, here we go.
Woo! Just a dash. Just a dash. Just a dash. Just a dash.
I love when you say that, first of all. I'm like, appropriate, okay?
It's just, it feels right. It's
It
just
feels
like
correct.
they're watching in the corner in the studio. Bam. Play the
Bam.
track.
Okay, period. And I just want to say to the viewers who are watching this, you will see me blowing my nose on occasion. It's spring season. I've always had allergies, and that's just who I am.
Right, because allergies ain't what?
Shit.
Worth our time. Oh, that too.
Oops.
Bloop.
My bad.
Got it. Yeah, so make sure you take your Claritin while you're listening, because you may be a little as you go through.
Okay. Okay, wait. That was actually such excellent sound work, period.
You can tell that I have the allergies because that came from experience.
Okay, all right.
Okay, and peep the mug. Peep the mug. Peep the
Peep
mug.
the mug. It's got a little D on it. This is my selection for today, for my mug. Do you want to know what it says? You know my tea bag always has a message.
What's the message for today? Everyone focus in.
Okay, zoom in. Okay? Every neighbor can be your teacher. That's the message for today.
And sometimes you don't like your teachers and you don't like your neighbors, so keep them from a distance.
Okay, you know what? It's getting spicy, which is pretty appropriate today because what are we talking about today anyway?
Hot Topics.
Yes. Why? I feel like when you say hot topics, it makes me think hot pockets.
Hot Topics, and they hit it with a Red Robin. Yum.
My gosh. Listen, I'm gonna have it produced anyway. carry on.
So as you all can sense from this episode, we are going to be bouncing around. So we just ask that you stay with us, enjoy the conversation ahead, because we're dipping our toes back into the realm of nostalgia. So for those millennials out there, for maybe the Gen X out there, and even for the Gen Z, let us help you understand and remember some of these beautiful moments in time that always got us bopping and weaving, jiving, and having a good time.
Period.
So for today, let's start off, going down memory lane. The first question I have for you, Dashka, what do you recall as your earliest introduction to pop culture?
First of all, thank you for using my first full name. Okay, hey. We're keeping it formal.
Because that's what? Professional.
Not with the A. I'm screaming. I love this question, first of all, and I love the fact that we're going down memory lane. I love the fact that we are touching upon nostalgia because I love reflecting back on the era that we grew up in. I just want to say for the record, I think the 90s is one of the best decades to have grown up in. I'm kind of paying homage a little bit to the 90s with my look today. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. It's giving the Goofy movie. It's giving Disney.
It's giving you better be looking at me from eye to eye.
Okay, but to answer your question, you ate that. To answer your question, I think, what's so interesting? I have such a distinct memory of when I moved. So I lived in a couple of different places in Florida, but there was a certain age where I moved to Pembroke Pines when I was in 4th grade, which is Broward County for those who need, some geography. But it was such a a pivotal move in my life because it was also my first time being introduced to secular music. I don't know what
Mm,
came upon my parents where they were like, "You can listen to pop music. I'll buy you a pop album." And my first like introduction was Britney Spears, Backstreet Boys, Eminem, Beyonce. Like that was my first taste of like pop music. And I remember just being so I think that's why I still have such an affinity for Britney Spears. Like I just like it was just like who is this like woman, this pop princess? Like she is showing her stomach, but she is fun, but she is cool. You know, like those were the sorts of things that you were aspiring, you know, stylistically to like look like the jelly shoes, the lip gloss, smackers. Like it was
Maybe not
all
the
these,
jelly shoes. Let me tell you, a
you know,
statement
a
still being
statement
made
piece.
today. Still being made
Correct.
today.
She still has a pair. So I think that was like my earliest introduction to pop culture that like I hold fast to. And then I also think about like cartoons, Disney
Mm,
Channel, Nickelodeon, like all those sort of things I think really influenced and shaped like my creative brain.
right.
What about you though? I'm curious. I'm actually very curious what your introductions were because
So,
we're in such different environments.
and that's why I wanted to start with this question too, because you think about just regionally where we both were. You were in
Yeah.
Florida at the time. I was in New York City.
Yeah.
And so I think about that early childhood. And so my cousins, we all grew up so close to one another. And so we have my oldest cousin, and our age difference is 6 years apart. Shout out to
Okay.
Stephanie. Bow. Um, but I learned so much. I absorbed and learned so much between what she was learning or watching, what my older brother and my other cousins were watching, and
Yeah.
just like absorbing those pieces along the way. But like seeing Britney Spears for the first time, seeing Christina Aguilera,
Yeah. Oh my
being there for
gosh.
Genie in a Bottle, and then being like, "Oh, damn, Dirty did a whole nother thing."
Okay.
And I'm just like, where do
Yes.
where do I get that cropped up and be like,
Oh, you're such
how
a
do I?
Scorpio. You would be referencing Dirty as your pop culture influence. Okay.
Because there was uh, an awakening, an
No,
awakening.
that music video, we'll get there. I let me
We'll
not
get
jump
there.
ahead. We'll get there, but like I'm about to act up.
Right. And I think honestly, just music in the 90s, early 2000s, ad-libbing.
Yeah.
That's why I think that influenced me a lot of
Yeah.
my, probably a little bit with like maybe some undiagnosed ADD there, but
Okay.
just being able to have so many vocal stems. Like I don't think we
Yes.
associated a lot of the
Real.
ad-libbing that was there to now these like wonderful like vocal stems that we all have, and it just helps to break the ice sometimes. Like I don't
Yeah.
realize how many sometimes vocal stems that we all interact with that we're like,
Yeah.
oh, you're cool because you get the reference, and so this now
Okay.
has opened up a gateway to like we can talk about a little bit more. But if I drop a vocal stem and you're like, what's that? I'm like,
Okay. Can I tell you now that you said that? Two things. I've told people very recently that I feel like sometimes my brain is kind of like a radio station where like you can just change the channels and like reference different things. Like sometimes like that's how I'm organizing information. But the second thing thinking about pop culture was also the commercials we were watching. We didn't have like as much streaming growing up. So we actually
mm-hmm.
had to sit through and watch commercials like when you were growing up. I know you're going to remember this. You lit liquor.
Yep. You cutie queen. You kumquat.
you Wait.
Orbit Gum had the commercial networking in a chokehold
They
because
did.
that team did it.
That
They
was a
done did
standout
it.
for me. Jingles were a standout for me. I remember when
Mm-hmm.
Flow blew up. Like there was so many like different areas where you were just like honestly kind of looking at performance art just like through different mediums. Like even commercials like it was so intentional like to engage with your audience by like making your character relatable. Like the Super Bowl, even if you didn't watch football, you were watching the Super Bowl commercials. Like, you know, like
100%. Like
there was
everyone
just
lived for Doritos. Like
yes,
Doritos had that in a chokehold too. It's just those moments where you think back. Also, like Stanley Steamer.
Tough on dirt, gentle on carpet. Okay. And they switched it up. They would change up the jingles too.
Right. Stanley Steamer, the carpet cleaner.
Yes.
Got to the
That was the.
point. Got to the
Yeah.
point and told you your carpets are so dang dirty. You better call Stanley and bring that van around that block.
What I'm loving right now is like when we were kids, we just loved singing the jingle. And now, as an adult, we're like, got to the point. Told us exactly what we needed to know about the service. Like, that is not what we were relating to as children.
We were just like, Stanley,
Okay,
get it.
I
Oh,
love that
Steven
song.
with it.
Yeah. Like we were not thinking about like this being effective, but like I think that's hilarious though because those jingles like stay with you and like. But I do like that when I think about pop culture, it was like everything that we were consuming, but which is I think the same today. But there was just a different way that I think that we were required to engage with it because it was actually like about the person, you know,
Mhm.
like, and I don't even know if I'm framing that correctly, but even when I think about Britney Spears, when I think about Eminem, when I think about when I think about the pop stars that we were relating to, we really like were enamored with them. But to me, like, there was still an innocence about it, you know, like,
Sure.
there was still something where it wasn't pervasive. It was just like, wow, this person is like a star. I don't know. Maybe I was just like innocent as a child, but I feel like pop culture has really shifted in its nature
Yeah.
and like what it offers us and what it's supposed to serve now. Or maybe it's just that I'm an adult and I see it differently, but I just remember there being such like a kind of a euphoric feeling around
Sure.
pop culture when I was a kid.
And I think that speaks to the distance that we had from those artists. We weren't on
Yeah.
our phones like seeing what they were doing in their everyday life. So that
It's so
proximity
true.
and what we felt like maybe that they owed us, I think that's what
Yeah.
shaped. Now as consumers, as we've entered adulthood, or I think the younger generation is witnessing like we are a consumer and a customer, and so like as things are being delivered to
Yeah.
us now, we are expecting grander projects on tours. We're expecting,
It's true. The
they're
output
expecting
is
Chapel Rowan to
insane.
be, not belittling the children. We'll
I
get
think
there.
that we'll get there. Okay, we see how we could just jump right in and like I'm screaming. Okay. All right. Period. Amen.
Right. But I think that really summarizes a lot of the moments with like pop culture, like
Yeah.
as in our youth, we're still developing so many elements about ourselves.
Yeah.
So I also think about like shows as simple as, and not simple because they were lovely, Bananas in Pajamas. All
Oh
right,
my
let me spit these lyrics. Bananas and pajamas are walking down the stairs. Again, direct, but that track behind it
I just want to
literally
say
had us bopping and weaving.
it's crazy that you said that. The way the image immediately popped up in my head of the bananas in the blue and the light blue, let's be clear about it, and white
Yeah.
pajamas, like that is such an iconic image. And like now you're taking me down like the wormhole of the shows that we used to watch. Like and okay, iconography.
Right. Also, I had, of course, this is from 1993, so I don't recall all the lyrics, but I just want to, let's spit the facts here. Those bananas are in pajamas and they are coming down the stairs. The bananas in pajamas are coming down in pairs. Only two.
Okay.
We don't need no more. Just two.
It's
That's
a couple
as much.
costume.
That's right. That's as much potassium I'm assuming we should all be consuming on a daily basis. And then bananas in pajamas are chasing teddy bears. Don't bring no other animal. Solely teddy bear.
Corduroy.
Corduroy. Paddington, are you in the room with us? And then it ends because on Tuesdays they all try to catch them unawares.
This is serious.
This is serious business. We stand on what business?
I love that. No, but when you're talking about show jingles, I just want to say, because what was the one that you sent to me recently? I think it was Arthur.
Arthur.
Hey, it's a wonderful kind of day where we can learn to laugh and play. and get along with each other. I'm not getting into it. But the way
Right.
she ate that up,
That clip. Shout out to that
that creator. I'm gonna
that
find it.
creator.
I'll
Yes.
include it when in the compilation when we're sharing this out. But that was those jingles were everything. I loved all that sort of stuff. I was singing the Noodle song the other day. Noodle, use
Is
your
that the one
noodle.
from
PB and J
PB&J
Otter.
Otter?
Yes. Okay.
Respect.
We there's
Respect.
just so also I'll say this about the pop culture from the 90s, early 2000s. I feel like there was just such an organic way of imbuing like wisdom, imparting wisdom and like lessons on the youth. I can't, there are so many shows that I watch when I look back on it. I'm like, there was always some sort of lesson or experience or adventure included that was like really teaching your kids. Like, even when I think, of course, Sesame Street is like an obvious, but even when I think about Rugrats, like that show was about friendship and like taking care of your friends and growing and learning and experiencing new things. Like, it's through the perspective of babies. Like,
Right.
so I'm just saying, like, I think it was a pretty ingenious way, like the way that how pop culture spoke to its different audiences at every age level. When you think about the content, the material that we were receiving, to me, there was like a lot of intentionality. And I don't know if like I experience pop culture in the same way nowadays, but I appreciate the way that I did growing up.
Right. And I think it was a unique experience of its time because, like you said, even with commercials, the way that everything was structured, it was dosed in a manner that was consumable for the masses then, but also kept you on your feet on a weekly basis. Now that we have the binge culture with all the streaming, like you don't necessarily get as much time to absorb, but also I feel like, and I'm guilty of it too, like after an episode airs of a show, a lot of people go to Reddit. So you don't necessarily like take the time to sit and go, yo, like what did I really enjoy about that, or what am I thinking? And like I think when it comes to like the show The Pit, I'm like always ready to like jump into it because I'm like, I definitely missed something. I need someone to like flag this with this character. So
yeah,
I think
everyone
that's
keeps
kind of
talking
different.
about The Pit, and I'm like terrified only because I'm like, I know the show is medically accurate, and I don't know if I'm trying to see.
Take your time with it. Take your time with it.
But
You know
I've
what I
heard
mean?
that it's brilliant. The clips that I've seen, I'm like floored like by the acting and the portrayal. Like it seems like an incredible show. So I know that I'm always like a slow burn. Like, I'm just getting obsessed with Sex and the City. People are like, Dash. I'm like, girl, I guess I needed something within my age bracket. I don't know what to tell you. But I'm currently enjoying Sex and the City. I'm over a decade late. Sorry.
So let's continue on TV for a little bit, just because I think that is definitely something that you and I, there's a lot of correlation. But my question for you is, was there a particular TV show or character that you resonated with in like your youth, or even till this day, like you just like look back and you're like, I remember that character, I remember what that show meant to me, I carry that with me, you know, what does that spark within you when you hear that?
Ooh. There's a couple. For some reason, it's so interesting. I never would have thought that I was like a big cartoon person, but I keep thinking of just like different cartoons that were really beloved to me growing up. And maybe it's just like that was something I shared with my sister. And we're 3.5 years apart. So I think the shows with like live people, we were probably watching different things because of our age difference, but cartoons gave us that overlap. And I feel like a big one for me was Rocket Power. I loved Reggie Rocket. Loved Reggie Rocket. And I loved Spinelli from Recess. Like, I loved those sorts of, I loved Recess. I loved Hey Arnold. Like, I loved those sorts of shows where it was just like rascal kids, like, who have their crew and like they go on adventures, and like there's always a young woman who like doesn't speak to the status quo. You know, I loved that. I loved Wild Thornberries. Like I loved the Wild Thornberries. And what's funny is, come on, Donnie. Come on, Donnie. Period. Come on, Donnie.
The legend, the
I
man that boy is.
I loved Darwin on that show. Like I really like related to that energy. So I loved shows like that. But then I also I really related to Lizzie McGuire. I
Mm-hmm.
loved the Lizzie McGuire show. I loved like Even Stevens. Like those are the ones that come to mind. But I would say like terms of characters, I also really loved Sister Sister.
Oh,
And I think I really related to like each of the twins on a different day. Like I really loved seeing that portrayal of like young black women on television. Of course, That's So Raven. Like those are like the shows that stick out. But the characters, if we're being specific, I would definitely
yeah.
say Reggie Rocket. Reggie Rocket was my number one.
That's Reggie Rocket icon. That would be a
Icon.
great Halloween costume.
It was a
FYI.
Halloween. I did do it as a Halloween costume, but it was like when I hosted a Halloween party and you're too busy like making sure everything's happening. I don't think I really got to enjoy that costume. I think I have to bring it back.
What I loved too was because, and this is all going to make a connection to my example that I'm going to bring.
Okay, tell me.
Reggie Rocket always gave me Christina Vidal in Brink.
I love
Pup and Suds. That was like, that's
Yeah.
where I thought Reggie Rocket would like be
Yeah.
in the future, and kind of
Yeah.
like, that was
I
that
love
older
that.
group, so to speak. Like that's the
Yeah.
trajectory that they were going. But Taina on Nickelodeon.
Oh my gosh, Taina. That
I
was a great show.
would be sitting in my room, seeing her, again, young girl who dreams of becoming a professional singer and actress in New
Yes.
York. And again,
Yes.
I got to pull up these lyrics or the theme song for people to understand just what this meant. Okay? We got Taina, Taina. I know I can't wait to see my name in lights. No one's gonna stop me. You'll see, I will go far. What's my name? Taina, Taina. I always had dreams of me being a star.
Yes. Come on. No, but actually, the theme songs of our shows were also incredible. Just remember Sister Sister. Sister,
Yep.
sister. Okay. You never know how much I miss.
her.
And now everybody sees how different.
I ain't never gonna let you go.
No, we had bops with those shows. That's so real. I love that you brought up Taina. That for some reason made me think of My Cousin Skeeter. Do you remember My Cousin Skeeter?
Yes.
That was a good show too. There was just a lot of Jet Jackson was a show that I really, really loved that I feel like people forget. I really love Xenon of the 21st century. Okay. Boom, boom.
Static
boom.
Shock. For those out there,
Oh
Static
my gosh,
Shock.
Static Shock. Johnny Tsunami was also one of my favorite like cartoons.
Truly.
I loved Invader Zim. Invader Zim.
Listen, Invader Zim, friends, listeners. If you have never seen Invader Zim, grr, why is there bacon in the stove? I did it myself. Like, guys, you don't get
such a stupid
how
show.
I was there, you know, for all those listening, I was a nerd. Cartoons were my jive. So I was there.
What was the one? Oh my gosh. I think
Danny Phantom.
I loved Danny Phantom. That's not what I was thinking. Jimmy Neutron was the one I was thinking of. But I loved Danny Phantom, which honestly, do you remember Jake Long, American Dragon?
Yes.
Okay, which came first? Danny Phantom, right?
I think Danny Phantom. I'm gonna check my sources here.
Because I feel like in my head, and if that's come on, check the sources. Because I was gonna say, I feel like Danny Phantom walked so that Jake Long could run. I feel like Danny Phantom was like the first, for me at least, if we're talking about like cartoon crushes, Danny Phantom was a crush for me for sure.
So Danny Phantom released in 2004, and Jake Long I think was a little later. But
I feel like it was later 2000.
Well, it was a year later, actually. It was a year later.
Okay. Look at our...
Because Danny Phantom was Nickelodeon, Jake Long was Disney Channel.
Maybe that's what it is. I'm like,
Competition.
I feel like they were making like the cute cartoon young teenagers with a superpower, like, like they always like had an equivalent. Oh my gosh, you know what I just realized I forgot to mention?
Tell me.
There's two of them. Dexter's
Two things.
Laboratory.
Oh.
Dexter's Laboratory.
I got you in a second. You go. Get out of my laboratory.
You ate that. Dexter's Laboratory, and the other one is the Powerpuff Girls.
Dun, 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 dun. Listen, Bubbles hardcore could take all of them out in a minute. Because listen, you come at her wrong, you know how those pigtails are facing down? It's like a cat. When they go up, she was up.
I'm screaming.
It was on sight. Because when they play tag that one episode,
oh my gosh. That's the thing though, because she was so innocent, when she would actually get really mad, it was like actually terrifying. And then she would shrink back and be like, and it's like,
I'm gonna walk away.
That's the one to be careful about, okay? That's the one you should be most concerned with, is Bubbles.
Did you ever see that the CW was planning on doing like a live action?
What do you think of that? What do you think of that when they do that? What's the reaction?
I was sitting there like, you could try. But honestly, I was rooting for my girl Dove Cameron, because they had Dove playing Bubbles.
Now Dove, and I could see that.
It would have worked, but they were like, it's too risque.
I just like, you know what? That's actually a show where I think like if you were camp with it, you actually could eat up a live action of it, but people would have to understand like this is not intended to be PG. Like it's intended to kind of be an homage to like these characters. Because I do think Dove Cameron would be an excellent Bubbles. Who do you think would be Blossom and Buttercup?
They had the cast. Because there was like a trailer or something release of the show. I can send it to you. But
I'm thinking of, is her name Rachel Zegler?
No.
No. I don't think so. This would be like me. Who's the girl who did Snow White and like got in trouble because she was?
That's Rachel Zegler.
That's what I'm thinking of. Like for
like. Oh, I thought you were talking about for if they casted her. I was like, nah.
Not as Blossom, but maybe as Buttercup. I don't know enough about her. It was just her look.
I don't know.
I was just, you know what it was? In my head, I was like, she would look good in a bob.
Activate that bob. Dun, 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 dun,
dun. But yeah, it's interesting with live actions. I feel like sometimes they work. I have like mixed feelings because I feel like we're now existing in an era where companies that were beloved to us growing, like let's take Disney, for example, there's so many live action remakes that are being made of every single movie. And there's a part of me that understands like, okay, this is your way of trying to like refresh and renew this for this generation. But at the same time, like, I also feel like, I don't know, like the classics are incredible, and sometimes things don't need to be remade. So I think it's hit or miss for me sometimes, is what I will say. But I do think the Powerpuff Girls could be camp. It just depends. I feel like the right person would need to come up with the idea to create that, but I'd be open to it.
Camp is a very strong approach when you think back and you think about the audience that it captivated, the fan base that's still there, and then also just like a lot of queer people resonating with that show. And like camp is one thing that we enjoy about these shows and how it's incorporated, like the character him, or like the mayor's assistant that you never saw her face, but body T, hair laid.
But actually
face missing, but everything else.
It's true though. There are so many characters in that show that I think were really just like enjoyable to like watch, and that were a little bit out of the box. You know, cartoons kind of gave permission.
One show that I don't understand why I was like living for it, but I would be jumping off my couch in my house, getting yelled at, rolling on the floor, thinking that I was the most active person in the world. Jackie Chan Adventures.
Oh my gosh, Jackie Chan! Oh my gosh,
because
good. I love Jackie Chan.
I'm out there thinking I'm gonna go find Talisman, rolling around, breathing fire. It was, and the niece Jade, she was that. She She deserved her
You
own
know what
spittle.
was so interesting too is like I don't know if you felt like this as a kid. I still do this sometimes. If I like watch a really good movie, I like leave the movie theater thinking like this is like I can do this. Like X-Men, I'll leave it. I'm like, what about if I have powers? I'm like I start like imagining like if I were an X-Men, like what would I be doing? If I were a
Right.
Power Ranger, what would I be doing? If I was like Jackie Chan, I'm like the problem is I think I can do this.
You think you can do these things, Nemo?
Oh my gosh, Finding Nemo. Now that is also a movie that stands the test of time. That is a classic. I would say part of my pop culture zeitgeist for sure. For sure. Lilo and Stitch for you, I would say.
Stop. Don't even get me started.
I knew I would get you with
Listen,
that.
I just, y'all, okay, we're going to be honest. We're going to be honest. That live action film,
Oh my gosh.
I
I
want
didn't
to, I
see
want,
it.
what we're going to do,
I didn't see
and
it.
controversial yet brave, maybe some agree. Maybe some were like, it wasn't for you. It was for me. Okay. It
Oh
was
my gosh,
supposed to
it
be for
was?
me. No, it wasn't for me. It was supposed to be for me. And sorry, let me redefine. It was not the tea.
But it
Okay.
was supposed to be.
But it was supposed to be.
Damn.
Shout out to the actress that was there. She held Lilo down. Um, there was no need for Nani to have left the sister. I think one of
Okay,
my
so
favorite
there was
comments.
issues with the writing, or was there issues with the
So
portrayal
would
of
you like me to spoil it
characters?
for you, or
I,
would you like to watch it?
I'm not gonna watch it. I'm and
Okay.
I'm not gonna watch it because I don't think that Lilo should have been turned into some sort of AI character. I not
No,
Lilo,
Stitch
excuse
was
me,
AI.
Stitch. I don't want Stitch to be turned into some sort of like creature character. I like Stitch as a cartoon.
It's the decision in the original film. The family stays together.
Yes,
Jumba, Pleakley, they're all there. It's a
yes,
family. They build the family.
yes.
They create the
Ohana means
community,
family. Family
and nobody
means
gets
no
left
one gets
behind.
left
But here we
behind.
are in this remake, and Nani gets to go to college. I respect that. She should have the choice to do that. However, we could figure there are some programs nearby. They all could
I
have been together,
see.
and then they made Jumba a villain, and I was like, we didn't need that, because if you were sitting in that writing room and you said that the difference in this film is that we're going to take the community away and we're going to make
Right.
the villain stay. No,
That
no,
wouldn't
ma'am.
read over well with audiences. Who was the first screening audiences? Why would they go with that sort of ending?
It wasn't me, that's for sure.
I'm screaming. It wasn't a true fan, and that's
It
the
wasn't
problem.
a true fan. And you know what? People listening, if you disagree, I get it. Solely an opinion. This is just coming from someone who loves that show, that movie so much. And it's just like, I bet
Yeah.
even Pudge the Fish was pissed off.
I'm
Because I think he made
screaming.
one small cameo. You know what I
Do
mean?
you
Like,
know
that's
that
an iconic monologue.
to this day I still like to think that fish eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches because of
Pudge
Lilo and
controls the
Stitch.
weather. Also, let's talk about how Lilo mollywopped the hell out of that other girl.
Okay, yes. Is that in the film?
Don't be talking about my mama. Don't be talking about my family.
I might watch it just for that.
That scene.
It sounds like it's a bit more of a dramedy than a comedy.
No, well, I'm just talking about like in general, because like in the film, you know, what's her
Yeah.
name? Myrtle.
Myrtle. I think her name is Myrtle.
It was
Something like
Myrtle with
that.
the orange hair.
I'm screaming.
Again, we don't condone violence, but don't be talking on anybody's mama like
maybe
that.
one day I'll watch it, but I have trouble watching live actions that like include animals. Like Lion King.
Lion King
for
was
me.
rough. I was
Didn't
like,
do it for
I don't
me.
need to
It
see this
was
live action
giving
warthog.
National Geographic with a little twist of AI. Like we didn't have. I want to see the animals stacked on top of each other, and I just can't wait to be king. I know it's not realistic. Like that's the whole idea. It's not realistic that there are animals in the safari singing to me. Like to
Right.
begin with, like the whole story is not based in reality. I don't.
She wants to be the main event, like no king was before.
Okay. Yes, and that's not.
Is that so
happening.
much to ask for?
Is that so much to ask to have my giraffe stacked on top of my hippopotamus? at the watering hole. Like, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for.
It just, you go back, and I think just something with, and I feel like a lot with the Disney company, they're still doing animated films. There's the incorporation with the Pixar company. There's a lot of stories that are being retold,
Yes.
and there's not anything unique to them. And it's just like,
That's the
the
thing
audience
too.
wants something refreshing, something new. Like, honestly, and we both watched this one together, Luca.
Yes,
Luca, so
Luca.
beautiful.
They do have
Luca,
some original stories, but
they do.
but I do think like
If you're
before,
going to take years to write a film and you're just going to copy and paste from a film that happened in the last 6 years,
yeah,
don't riddle me dumb. I see that. But since we're talking a little bit about reboots, I think one thing that, definitely hot buzzing topic for the world is this Harry Potter reboot.
oh my
You know?
gosh.
Where people stand on that, drop it in the comments. And in the comments when the episode's released, drop it in the comments.
Oh, period.
Because
No, but
truly
seriously, genuinely though, I do want people like I would love to see a discourse
because
on
the energy
Potterhead.
is,
You
yeah,
know,
the energy
okay,
is like, le boycott or am I still watching energy that we have out there. And so, how are you feeling? I know, like many of us, we all grew up watching the series, reading the books, but like,
yeah,
what are you seeing? How are you like sitting with
yeah.
kind of this, what's coming out in the universe?
I'm still proudly proclaim myself to be a Potterhead. It's a interesting, like many things that like don't age well. You know, I think it's ironic that in this case it's not the story, but it's the creator of the story. I think like Harry Potter has created such a life of its own outside of J.K. Rowling, who I also call She Who Must Not Be Named because she's the true Voldemort of this
Mhm.
of this story. I feel like so much has existed outside of her that I can look at the books and I can look at the original movies and still hold a lot of love for them. However, none of my dollars in 2026, actually, it's been a while since before 2026, are going towards anything that woman is involved in. And also, when the show came out, when I even saw that they were creating a show and casting for a show, I was actually really annoyed. I was just like, we don't need that. We don't. Like, I think it's like costing like over $1 billion at this point to actually produce that show, create that show. There's a part of me that's like, to what you were saying before, where are the original stories? Like, there's brilliant new talent in the world. We have all these streaming platforms that like are constantly over like indulging us with content, and you're giving us something that we already have access to enjoy in so many different facets and mediums. The
Right.
original movies still stand the test of time. I don't think those stories even work well in a show format. I'm like, I'm not sitting down every week to like watch like this story. But also, I'm just like, I feel like J.K. Rowling is a person that we can all, the audience that like Harry Potter speaks to, in my head, I'm like, who is making this decision? Because I think it's pretty evident that people who are fans of Harry Potter are not fans of J.K. Like, I think that's become pretty clear over the last few years that not only are the people who are fans of Harry Potter, but the people who've been involved in Harry Potter. Daniel Radcliffe doesn't associate himself with J.K. Rowling. He has
Mm-hmm.
come out in defense of trans people, in defense of LGBTQ plus people from the jump. You have characters who are part of the community. You know, like there's so much that's like incongruent with even having making a decision to remake Harry Potter at all that I'm confused that it was greenlit. And I'm like, it's not, is this supposed to be a distraction? I don't understand the strategy of it. I will tell you this, every time the commercials come on, I skip it. Like, I just have no interest. I feel pretty apathetic towards it in
Yeah.
general. And it's just like, it's one of those things that's unfortunate because I think that Harry Potter is such a beloved story just overall. And it's not about, I've seen a lot of people like dragging, like, oh, it's not even original and JK is not even original. Like, for me, I'm not going to like minimize what Harry Potter meant to me in my life or the ways that I love the characters or, you know, how the stories like influenced me. I'm not doing that because it was such a special and significant part of my life. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't think I don't think it's a bad story. It's unoriginal, or even JK's a bad writer. I think she's a bad person.
I think it continues to hold. I'm trying to think. For me, it's like when you've read the first book, or
Yeah.
if you like waiting outside the bookstore to get it. Like I share these memories with like one of my like aunts who would like go to the movie with me every year it was released, and like what
Yeah.
that meant to us in the community and the relationship that we built. And then realizing this whole time, like the creator of this world and these messages and these intentions turns out to be just as evil as Voldemort. And you're just like, the message
Yeah.
was lost along the way, lost in
Yeah.
translation. Fame became too much.
Which is
The
insane.
proximity and the distance from where they were,
And how
because
they
I think
began.
recently when we were in Portugal, I think there was a local bookstore or shop that's like claimed to fame, like where she wrote the early
Mm.
stages of the passage. And I'm just like,
On the back of napkins, this woman
yeah,
was, I remember going, they had like a gallery years ago in New York. It was a pop-up all about Harry Potter. This woman, that's the craziest thing too. Like you come from humble beginnings. Like you were a single mother struggling, writing this story on the back of napkins. You were given this incredible gift to share this story with the world that impacted a generation of children, a generation of people, because it included their parents as well. And to turn around, and I feel like the first word that came into my head is besmirch, but it's true. Besmirch your legacy. Besmirch your legacy. I'm like, why would
besmirched.
besmirch? But I'm like, why would you do that? Like, this is such a blessing that you were given, and you gave the world, and you've turned around, and you're constantly just, the things that she says to me are so inhumane. And it shocks me because I'm like, how could you write a story like this that celebrated so much of the humanity between people, between friends, between mentors, between adults and children, between brothers, sisters, and then you turn around and you're talking about your fellow human beings as though they're just
Right.
like
I
things.
think as you say that too, I'm like, I think about
It's confusing.
where she may have been at the time, desperately wanting to be heard and creating this story that held all this meaning and beauty at times, with the themes around it. And then when someone is heard and they have the platform, they just truly go off the rails. And
Yeah.
what they find. I've been watching too many Dairy Girls, another show that we have to come back to and talk through.
Oh my
But
gosh, Dairy Girls.
just realizing that their voice is so loud now, and that whatever they feel comfortable saying, they're going to. And so that dichotomy of like, I'm not being listened to, I'm not being respected, I'm not being appreciated, to like, well, now that I'm here, you're going to hear everything I have to say. And it's like,
Yeah.
I think
Actually, babes, I'm not sure I'm down for
babes, I
that.
don't think it's happening for me. So with
That's
that, I think we'll definitely nip that one for her. We don't need to give her any more airtime.
we don't.
But yeah, the reboot's coming out. So you
They
watch it,
are.
you don't watch it. There's also other great shows out there. There's
They
also
are.
original content out there,
Yeah.
such as the Dairy Girls,
I
available
need
on
to
Netflix.
watch that. Is that with Nicola from Bridgerton?
Yes,
I need to
Claire.
watch that show. I love that you brought up Dairy Girls though, because it really does. There's a lot of shows that I think, like international shows, that I also really, really enjoy. There was this show, Misfits. Have you ever heard of
Yes.
Misfits?
Mm-hmm.
That was such an excellent show. I think it was English, but also sex education.
Skins. If you ever saw Skins.
Okay, now, okay, getting a little
Okay, now
skins
if you
indeed.
Skins, and then also Elite on
Oh
Netflix.
my,
Girl,
okay.
them high school students be doing
I would
too
have
much.
continued watching that show, but I have to pay attention to subtitles, and I just didn't have the patience. But but it did look like it was a sexy show. Okay,
Steamy.
I think that's a good show. I also really loved Money Heist. Do you remember
Okay,
Money
I
Heist?
didn't watch that one. I think
You would like Money Heist. That was a great. I didn't finish.
because the subtitles.
No, that's was compelling enough for me to keep watching with the subtitles. It just got to a point where it's like there are some shows where like you have to keep investing in the story till the end because it's about a group of people who like steal from a bank, but it's more compelling that the reasons they're stealing from it, there's like a mastermind behind, why they're stealing from it. It's like for justice. They're kind of like a Robin Hood group. But then each season the story builds up, and I think by the time they got to the last season, I was like, I get it. I get it. I get what's happening.
We're doing some things here. We're doing some things. But it is
excellent storytelling, and it definitely has some hot, like, smoky scenes for sure. But to your point, like, there really is a lot of new original content and so many shows. There is so much on TV. There is so much on streaming devices. There is so much to explore. I'm always trying to find shows that are really just like not American shows, because it's like also storytelling is done so differently across the world. And it's so poignant or poetic, like the way other people tell stories.
And as you mentioned, there are so many things that are available on TV or streaming. And one of those things is Wicked Part 2.
Oh, that's right.
And so, we want to take a few minutes, shout out to the cast.
Okay.
Y'all did the part 2. You did it. And I just want to take a minute for us all, for all the musical theater, heads out there. We all know what Act 2 is in that show.
Okay.
We know it.
It's a struggle bus.
It's the beats, low beats. We have
lo-fi beats.
Lo-fi beats. There's just, and this is from someone who, like, I read the book.
Yeah.
And I know that they really did not, again, these are 2 different adaptations.
Yeah.
But if you needed to find something to fill in the gap, you have a book that you maybe could pull some things from.
That's fair.
Maybe not the, how do I put that word?
I was going to say that book is very intense and
it's very intense. So there, you got to choose wisely what you pick in.
Intense is
but I
just understated. It's like a very political. It's very poetic.
And again, not the musical touches on it. They don't go so ham on in that aspect.
Yeah.
But you mean to tell me the best songs we could come up with is the Girl in the Bubble?
You are
bright,
really,
shiny bubble.
I don't know if you did some throat coat before hopping on the mic.
I did do throat cooler. Shout out to my girls at Celestial Seasonings.
Because the vocal chakra, the throat chakra is clear. Okay?
It's clear. Surprisingly, because the back of my neck is killing me from the roller coasters.
We are polar opposites today. I'm out here and you're out here, the girl in the bubble. Okay. I agree with you though. I do agree that I feel like I don't know what it was about the second one. I think we talked about this before, because we saw it together.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like in the moment watching it in real time, because I am a fan of the show, I was able to enjoy it. But it definitely felt like they were almost like filling in screen time that wasn't necessary. Like I feel like the way they decided to portray the story was like they were trying to create character development, but they weren't actually delivering on it, like with the additional context they gave us. Like the girl in the bubble, even the scene itself was not new information. Like we already knew that Glinda like pretends she has magic, like that she's
right.
We already know that she's spoiled. We already know that like her biggest wish is to be magical. Like it was like you're not giving us any new information. I almost wish like that scene was more about the fact that like maybe there's a pressure that she constantly feels, to live up to a certain ideal because of the
You're referring to the flashback of her as a child.
Yes.
When she's at the party and she's like
she gets a gift and it's a wand.
It's a wand. What can that wand do? Not a dang thing.
Not
so what does she do?
Thing.
She lies.
She lies.
She tells the children there's a rainbow.
Yes, and that she's the one who did it. And I'm like, so Glinda's always been trash.
Right. So, and me being color deficient, being like, I see it, I swear. I swear it's out there.
That just made me so sad to think that there are rainbows out there as a gay man you're missing out on. because you're colorblind.
Again, I can see them. There's just the
What about the one
deficiency.
behind you? What about the one behind you?
Girl,
What about the one behind you?
that's a rainbow.
You said no, but I do think like there were things that were lacking in the second one, and I don't know, it just didn't carry the same magic as the first one. I think also the tone of Wicked Part 2 is more serious and more political. I
Right.
would love, though, this is just like, I guess, a hot take on Hot Topics. I would love for them to do an actual true rendition of the book, kind of like the way that we see, like when I think of Cinderella, when I think of Into the Woods, like I think of like how the Brothers Grimm stories were actually a lot darker, like those stories, and we don't really have depictions of that unless it's like turned into like a horror film or a camp film. But I actually think the Wicked stories, like the true book, would be really interesting to see how that would be portrayed. And I wonder if that would make part two. I think there's a lot that gets left out in part two because it's really a more political, darker twist of the story. And they were trying to make it more lighthearted, and you can't blend those things like that.
Right. You want to make it digestible for the family to entertain, but you really can't do like the Oz Dust Ballroom is not just a club. Let's just say that. All right.
Okay. We're not out here doing hand performance.
Right. It's on the that club is on the corner of Bumpin' and Humpin', and that ain't it. That's Bumpin' Avenue and Humpin' Street.
Okay, just to be clear, if you just need to put that in your GPS.
Yeah, so when you look at the Oz map, look for those cross streets, and it's right there on that corner. Right there on the corner.
On the corner.
Let's go, Greenie.
I actually really did love that line, and I did love that. That's a perfect example of like a moment that I loved, but just was like misplaced for what this story of part two is. It's like, that's
oh my God,
but...
Bye, Dodo.
Bye, Dodo.
That whole like 40 seconds
whole scene
is
was
all
hilarious.
improv. They're all improv.
It's great. It just like it would probably feel better if we didn't know that they were going to like get Fiyero and burn him alive. Like like it's just
in that time frame.
Our
boys out there getting roasted and toasted and about to be turned into kettle corn.
Okay.
And these two are swinging wands and batons.
Cat fighting, talking about, come here, Greenie. Like,
also, I think another great delivery line in that film, her sister. So we're not just going to talk about that you responsible for her sister for getting smashed by the house?
You always bring that up. She didn't even, listen, I think at that point, Elphaba was too busy getting down in her cardigan.
Oh. She said, kiss me between the bearded barley, baby. Listen. Sixpence none the wiser, none the richer. I always get the song. I always get the group wrong, but that takes me to our next, topic here.
Okay.
Dating.
Okay.
Friends.
First of all,
you like that pivot?
Yeah,
I tangent?
I really do love the way you're taking us on pivots. I love that. You are being really smooth with it. I'll give you that, first of all. Your face right now is taking me. I do.
Meow.
I do love the way that you're gliding us to each hot topic. And I will say, like, I do think Elphaba and Fiyero, that is quite a match that I'm rooting for. And I know people be hating on that yarn snuggie that she was up in there making love in, but I was here for it. My girl, she's a first timer, okay? And she's with the man that is gentle and sweet and communicative, and that's exactly what we're looking for. Now,
right, because up in Oz, they're not dealing with the same dating app fatigue that's going on in the current film.
There it is.
Take
it fair.
She said, "I found a man." Now, is that man kind of doing something with the little friend here? Sure.
Now,
but you see all this.
Story. So
see all this.
So what I'm hearing is dating is also trash in Oz. That's
the
trend. That's
either
the pivot.
Whether you read the book or if you watch the movie, dating in that realm, kind of messy. Because here you got, what's his name? Bach
Oh
out
my
here
God,
in love with
Bach.
Glinda, but then you
Oh
got
my
Nessa Rose
God.
being like, "I see you," and he goes, "And
What did she call?
thanks,
What was the mistake name that she calls Bach?
Bick."
Bick. Okay, but I do want to switch gears as we're talking about even though like I do think that was a great pivot because it really is kind of like the complicated nature of romance and relationships in Wicked is actually pretty reflective of what the mess that people deal with in the modern day, I would say.
Right. Well, we think about the three R's. We got romance,
Okay.
relationships, and resourcefulness,
Oh,
and how we using our resources to try to find romance to end up in a relationship, but those R's ain't linking up.
girl, because I
They
was about to
just
say everything you said right now was a maze to me. I'm like, where am I going to get what? For where? For who? What?
we got the dating apps that were like the prominent resource for testing the waters, figuring things out.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, we were talking about it. People are like actively deleting the apps, where
Yeah.
the whole approach to now meeting organically being actually realistic. I think it hits as we talk about this. I also think about not just dating, the
Yeah.
realm of dating, but also when you are moving to a new community, a new environment, and testing out new relationships or trying to meet new people. Like
Yeah.
there's this big gap, so to speak, about like how does this happen organically? Is it realistic? And yes, but it just takes so much effort. And I think the effort piece is where a lot of people are getting caught up on of,
Mm.
are these people ready to match my energy? There are people out there that probably want to match your freak, if you remember that song. However, if you are trying to date,
That was
I can't
wild.
with you laughing.
That was so wild. I'm so sorry. You caught me off guard with that one. I was like, damn. Well, it's interesting like listening to you because I feel like, first of all, having two different perspectives here, like you're boot up. You've been boot up
Mm.
for a minute. You have a
Come
wonderful
on,
partner.
LMA, because I'm boot up.
I'm screaming, beady bada. You've been in a wonderful relationship, a wonderful partnership. I'm single. I've gone through the world of dating apps and also meeting people organically. Like I feel fortunate actually, like earlier on, like dating apps, like when I was entering the world of dating was not like it existed. Like you had like OK Cupid, you had like those sorts of things, but it was still considered kind of like a last resort. Like when I was like in my early teens, early 20s, like that was not something in my head. Like that was not how I was meeting people. It
Yeah.
was like for me, like my dream, even now, my dream scenario, ideal scenario was like at the time in my early 20s, it's like, okay, like where I work, there are people around the same age as me. I meet someone, I hit it off, like we start dating or something like that. Or you meet someone at like an outing or at a party. Like that was the vibe on how you met people. Like you actually were socializing with them. And it's interesting because I've never been like a dating app person. Like I've tried it several times. Like I think that I've always been a more in person, one to one sort of person. And I've had to learn that dating apps are basically like you talk a little bit here and you determine if that person is worth your time, like on the first date. For me, I would have trouble because I'm like, I'm not going on a date with you if the conversation is stale. Like, why would I do that? So, like, I had so much, like, dating apps for me have always kind of been like like, I'll
Hmm.
go there, like, if I'm really not finding connection in person. But I'm curious about how, like, you feel about dating apps because I feel like your experience also kind of varies with dating apps or like meeting in person. Like, what do you think of dating
Yeah,
apps?
I mean, like from my experience on them, I think they were very helpful. But I think what I learned early on is that the the attention and the proximity, or like the dichotomy of early stages, if you were trying to do online dating, there was such a stigma of like,
Mm.
why you're having to use that. Damn, you really can't get yourself
Yes,
anybody. And you're like, damn,
it was
I
last
don't know
resort,
what to be
desperate
doing. Also,
measures.
as like a queer person in what, like
Mm,
2013, 2014 at that time, really starting to date, there was still a comfort within myself trying to figure out what it is that I'm looking for.
yeah.
Like honestly, I didn't start dating until I was like 21. because I had
Really?
goals in life. I said I'm trying to graduate. And more from the sense that like I felt like if I tried to incorporate dating early on that I would get lost in it. And like
Mm,
there I had a goal going to school. Like I wanted to be out in 4 years. There was a lot of the pressure from family and things of you moved cross country or you moved cross states to go to school, you're going to be out in 4. You
yeah.
really can't have anything disrupt that. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, dating for me was perceived as a disruptor
Okay, but you
more
was
than
up
actually
you
being
was
able
up
to
in college having your connections and your hookups,
listen. That's for
child.
another story. That's for
Okay,
another
I'm just
story.
saying,
Okay, that's
don't
another
be
time.
sitting on here acting like you didn't enjoy it when you did decide to dip into the pool.
Listen, but I was not dating. Let it be known.
No, but I agree with you though. I agree in the sense that I had that same sort of I feel like we were similar in that way. Like we had goals to meet and ambitions to meet, and I think we came from families where like we had something
Right.
to prove to ourselves and also to like the people around us, and I think that that was also I wasn't prioritizing dating in that way. And so I do think when I got around to it, it was interesting how dating apps had kind of shifted into like
Mhm.
a more normal part of like engaging with people. Like that was an adjustment for me, I will say.
Right. I will say also for me dating and as I was experiencing it, and we've talked about it as we grew up together, just I was very selective about people
Yeah.
who I wanted to be
Oh
then like
yeah,
interacting
girl.
with my inner
I
circle
feel like that's like
because my
that
friends
should
are
be
my
like an
friends.
unspoken rule, and I don't mean that in a territorial
So,
way. And of course, like everything is always circumstantial and contextual because you have like people who started out as friends in a friend group and then they come to like each other and start dating, so they just so happen to have the same group of friends. Like we're not talking about that, but like there are some times where like it's pretty distinctive that like I think one of my
yeah,
biggest pet peeves, I'll just say, is like dating someone who actually like doesn't have a life of their own or doesn't have friends of their own. Like I'm not looking to be anybody's savior. I hate when people are like, we're two halves of a whole. No. No. Like, and I don't even think of people that way. Like you're your own person, you have your interests, you have your friends, you have your family. Same thing for me. And like if organically like we meet that point, those things will
right,
intertwine, those things will become a mesh. But like I'm not immediately when I'm dating someone like you are now like part of my friends and you are now integrated into everything I do and like we do everything together. I've never been that way.
right. I think I'm glad you brought that up too because like I've noticed or I've learned I've seen the growth in myself where that notion though of like I don't want to share my friends like with those that I'm dating has evolved
Yeah.
the more I've established in my relationship.
No.
It's not something that's going to happen night and day, but you know, if we're spending
Yeah.
years
Yeah.
together and the relationship is growing, of course
Yeah.
that's going to happen organically. But I don't want people to assume that just because now that you're in my orbit, that everything that I circulate around or
Yeah.
circulates
Oh my
around me is
gosh.
innately yours because I don't want to lose my sense of self, even though that
To lose
relationship is there,
yourself.
as if I would not want you or that person to lose any of that because there are individual goals that you should want to attain. There should be things that bring spark joy to you
Yeah.
that may not do the same for me, but I'm going to support you in them, make sure that you get to do them,
Yeah.
but you don't always have to be codependent. And I think that just like as you're maturing and growing, and I
Yeah.
think a lot of that also came during COVID because if you were dating during COVID and if
I
you
was
were
about to
able to
say
successfully
the
get
amount
through
of
that period
like
of time and still grow,
breakups and divorces that occurred during COVID because people actually, and this is not to be a downer, because I think to your point, the opposite was like people really got to know
right,
their partners, really got to know their girlfriends, their boyfriends, their roommates. Like when you're stuck with people, there's a different way that you have to engage with them. And I think the pandemic really, it's one thing for you to have a choice
Mm-hmm.
to be with someone. It's another thing when you just like that's taken away from you and you just have to be with that person and you have to learn to understand them. And I think a lot of people realized maybe we weren't having the conversations that we
Mm-hmm.
should have been having in terms of determining whether we complement each other, whether there's compatibility. I think that's a huge thing with dating apps that has like that makes things challenging is understanding the distinctions between chemistry and compatibility. And I think that meeting that's what I enjoy the
Right.
most about meeting somebody in person or meeting someone organically is I love the idea of figuring out I'm attracted to someone because of the conversation I'm having with them. Not like, of course, like I am a, I'm able bodied in the
Mm-hmm.
way that I can see, you know, so I have that. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm not taking in what someone looks like. And that's not a determining factor, like what makes me attracted to them. But I will say, like, if someone is not a good conversationalist or if someone turns out to have a stank like personality, you become kind of ugly to me. Like I kind of that's like kind of how I operate and so I feel like I always have trouble with dating apps because I just feel like it's hard to like understand someone's personality sometimes through like those chats or even like someone's profile. I try to capture myself like you've seen my dating profile on Hinge which is no longer
Glasses.
active. And it was
Shout out to my boy
and
John.
it wasn't even like a giving up thing. I was just like, I'm not really. I think like when I went on a dating app, for me, it was more about how do I exercise this muscle again because I've been single for
Mm-hmm.
such a while. And honestly, like someone said to me recently at work, they were like, I'm so surprised you're not in a relationship. Like, I feel like there's something about your personality and who you are. I could just definitely see you in a relationship. And all I said was, "Oh, really? Wow." And she said, "Wow." I was like, "Yeah." Like, I mean,
Yep.
I don't know what to say to that. Like, I don't really know how to respond to that. But also,
Yeah.
it's like I love the idea of being a partner to someone. I'm not afraid of, and you know this about me. Like, I'm not afraid of commitment. I'm not afraid of being in a relationship. I've been in wonderful relationships before, but I'm also not the sort of person who I think I've just reached a point in my life where I'm just not going to settle for any bullshit. And I would rather operate in my own happiness and my own contentment, you know, and bask in the love that I receive from so many different channels
Right.
than turn around and settle when I know someone is not celebrating or bringing out the best in me, you know? And I feel like the worst thing you can do is be in a relationship where you still feel alone because you're not actually happy in it, you know? So I
Mm-hmm.
think sometimes, I think we're reaching a point in society where people are more willing to make that trade off than settle for something that's just like the bare minimum, which seems to be, you know, we spoke about this in another episode. So y'all can go back
Yes.
and listen to it.
Jump back to that episode.
Okay.
Well,
Jump back.
touch points here. But no, I
Okay.
think also with the dating apps too, it's like I think what I hear from peers that are on the apps, it's like the it doesn't feel as genuine, or sometimes when you finally get off of the app and maybe you're texting, or when you get to actually meet physically in person, there's like nothing in the eyes of that person when they meet them, and there's not substance, and I'm like, damn, that's
It's
wild.
scary.
But
No, it
two,
is.
it's also just like we have now immersed ourselves in a culture where like you can be really good behind the
Yes.
technology and engaging with people, but when the
Okay.
phone's down and I look you in the eyes and I'm like, what is your biggest aspiration in life?
I
Granted,
hope
we're not going that grand, but it's also like if I ask you what are some
that's
of your
wild.
hobbies and what does it mean to you,
Yeah.
and you say like I do this thing, like if it just continues to feel like a closed-ended question, or like they
It's
can't answer an
stagnant.
open-ended
It's
question, then
stagnant. And it's not even
in the
like I've
words of
asked
Whoopi Goldberg and Ghost, Molly, you in danger,
you
girl.
in danger, girl. But I think you bring up a good point because I think at first, because I will say to play devil's advocate, I know for some people they do like dating apps because it gets rid of like the anxiety they feel. of like getting to know a person if they are more introverted, if like just some people are not like gregarious and like able to just hold conversation, and it's an easier way for them to showcase who they are or to talk about a topic of interest to them and really, you know, engage with the person. So I know that for some people dating apps actually break the ice or like help with their nerves, and I totally get that. And I think like if it's something that feels like it actually makes dating feel more accessible and it makes it feel just more grounding for you, I'm all for it. On the flip side, I do also feel like dating apps have really made people lazy conversationalists, you know, and I think even it's not even just what you're talking about, but the proximity of time that's, you know, being spent on holding a conversation or when is this person going to respond, like because you're not beholden to each other in any way, it's like you can ask a question and you're getting an answer a few days later, you know. And I'm guilty of that too, you know, because I don't prioritize dating apps in that way, versus if I hit it off with a person, you know, at the bar and we're having a great conversation and I really like, even if it's just on this one topic, we could be talking about travel, but if there's some sort of like relatability there, the likelihood is like I'm going to want to talk to you again if there's a spark. And I feel like with dating apps, like it's much harder to create that or find that, you know. It's like a needle in a
Right.
haystack. It works for some people, but it's not the new thing. It's not a novelty thing, you know. Dating apps now have become, I think when it first started, it felt like such a new, fresh, engaging way to meet people. And now it's something that people use like to their advantage, you know, to like, let me see how many people are available and like, let me play games with people and let me just have a quick and let me, you know, like people do not, there's the intentionality
Gonna
is
have to
not
bleep that
there.
one later.
Will I? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Well, damn.
But I'm just
No,
saying, you know, I think
those
that
are so
it's
true.
lost its gravitas, like as a tool to meet with people, and that's why I was like, girl, this is not giving what like it used to give, or like what it's supposed to be giving, and that's my personal opinion, child. That doesn't have to apply to everyone, but
That
it's
is
not for
her
me.
opinion.
My opinion, but it's not. It's just not for me personally. It's not for me.
I I think just to kind of sum it up too, just because again, it's definitely a topic we could go on for hours about, but I think it's just a matter of always thinking about revisiting what are our expectations when we're getting on those apps.
Yeah.
We may not get the whole truth and authentic expectation from somebody else. We can be asking all the questions we want in the world, and sometimes unless you're sitting with that person face to face and like you can get a better read of what's going on, like just understand that there's effort and work that's going to go into that, because the work and effort is going to happen if you actually connect with that
Okay.
person and you want to build a
Yes.
relationship. So it seems like a lot to do in the early stages, but wouldn't it be worth your time
Yes.
to engage in that manner and
Yes.
see if that person is worth your time and energy?
Yes.
And
Sure.
then if it works out well, then set those, set the expectations, or
Yeah.
just have a conversation. I think
Yeah.
expectations is, it's a big word, but if you can be honest with that person and they are meeting you there,
I would
it
say
sounds like a green flag.
the way I would close this out is saying about dating apps is stop treating people like they're disposable.
Because
Even
listen, last time I woke up, I was not a Ziploc bag.
I'm screwed.
Okay,
What the hell?
because you may
I'm stealing
ask me,
that. I'm stealing that. What
because if I ever feel like a plastic bag
in the wind?
flipping through the wind, then you know that you're acting on some disposable
Not
ish,
the Katy
and we need that
Perry
behavior to stop.
callback. Not the Katy Perry. Do you
Listen,
ever feel like a plastic bag?
with no Grammy in it, because that was the past. Sorry, shady, but
Okay,
I had to.
that was shady boots.
Boots. Speaking about boots, Zara Larson, we love ya.
Oh, we do. That's true. No, but genuinely, I do think like I that's the piece of advice I would give. Even if you're not interested in someone, like you can still hold like a decent conversation with someone and just be like, you know what, I don't think, there's a connection here. You can be kind and decent and still be on these dating apps without ghosting or just like being stale or like not being communicative
Hmm.
or rushing through conversation or just being plain up weird. Some of the things people be saying are just like weird.
There's weird and then there's goofy. And we got to remember,
Okay.
though they are both 5 letters, they make quite the difference when you interact with them.
I want that on a mug. I want that on a shirt. I want on my next hat, actually. Hey.
We'll be selling merch at the end of the season. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. This is all for joy and fun. All for joy and fun. However, if you want to sponsor me.
Oh my gosh. I'm pretty obsessed with you right now.
Listen, if y'all need any creative thoughts or slogans, let me know, because we love a good jingle.
You are good
we
at
love
that.
a good commercial. Listen, I will tell you, if Flo ever is about to step out, Flo, give me a call, because girl,
Flo.
I want a consistent job like that. Because what's his name at State Farm? Where do I get that?
Are you talking about Jake?
Jake, I couldn't remember his name.
Jake from State Farm. Those are the best gigs. I don't care what anybody says. If you're an actor and you get a Jake, if you get the Verizon guy, if you get Flo, all of those sorts of, if you're a shoo-in in that way for years to come, you've got a steady income and paycheck being an actor or being an actress, and you're recognizable. Right. I think also, that's a good thing.
Because as you say that, Lil Mama from the AT&T commercials, she was in Project Hail Mary.
Oh my gosh, I haven't seen Project Hail Mary. Is that good?
Amazing. But I'm just saying, if you could sell phones and do advertising, then you can definitely play an astronaut going into space. So
that is not where I thought you were taking that at all.
That was shady. I heard it. I heard it in my head. I said,
where I thought you were taking that. I cannot say that I agree with that. I've also not seen Project Hail Mary, so maybe I will after.
Yo, with that, I think we gotta pivot in the sense that we're gonna meet you for the second episode. Okay. This was just part 1. It was just getting spicy. True. And we just want to leave you with these final words as you finish up your day. Walk. I'm feeling fab. I'm feeling free. I feel exceptionally me. Hate all you want, but I'm dangerous. Runway. Lady Gaga. Doechii. Put it on after this video and let your ears be blown.
I don't have anything to say. I'm actually going to go follow these instructions immediately. That is the perfect way to wrap up Just a Dash. Okay.
Bye, y'all. We'll see you next.
Bye. Till next time. Catch you on the airwaves, sweet peas.
DJ, play that track again.